Now, I remember, when I was researching for this interview, I found a freestyle with you, Game, and Kanye. It was almost like a freestyle battle of sorts.
But nigga, I don't rhyme free, even freestyle. I got my money right now. Every time I think I can go cop a diamond link or a mink. So crazy, I need to see his strength. Yo, wish me luck, even though I don't need it. Cause the nigga so goddamn conceited. Even when I'm reading, other rappers wanna see it. Because they know that they can't defeat them. Because they feed is caught up in an abortion. To me, this is a sport, and y'all niggas enjoy it. You go like Spud Webb. You heard what this nerd said off the top of the nerd's head, and I ain't smoking no bud yet.
Right.
How did that thing come together?
We were at Record Plant in Los Angeles, and Kanye and I were chilling out in the lounge, and Game comes out of nowhere, and he's, having fun with Kanye. And he said, yo, Kanye, remember that time we was freestyling outside of Nike Town? And Kanye was like, yeah. And I was like, yo, y'all want to have a cypher right now? And it was like, all right, cool. I said, all right, get the video camera, let's go. So we just started freestyling, and that's how it went.
I remember I interviewed Game about that Kanye, freestyle battle. And he actually admitted on camera that Kanye kind of got him.
After the party was over, we walk into the parking structure, you know what I'm saying? Just walking, there's a bunch of chicks, a bunch of people walking and whatnot. And everybody was like, yo, Kanye, yo, won't you battle Game? Game, yo, won't you battle Kanye? And, we was just two hungry artists, man. So, we in the parking structure, man, just took off. And, Ye rapped first, and he spit, and it was that, that old college dropout Kanye, you know what I'm saying? He got off, you know what I'm saying? He really, did his thing, and I was impressed because I had already heard about him. I thought he was a producer. I didn't know he spit. So he got off, and then, I gave him like probably about 40 bars, just rapid fire, man. And then he came back, you know what I'm saying? He spit like 40 bars, and I took it up, and I ended up rapping for like 3-4 minutes, and everybody was oohing and eyeing, you know what I'm saying? I felt like I won, and then Kanye just bud out of nowhere, you know what I'm saying, and start going in about, how I thought I was the savior and watch my behavior, and like he really started going in. And then so the chicks start like being like, oh, and once the chicks start chiming in, man, it's pretty much over. So, that's one of the rap battles, one of the only rap battles that I lost, man, but I was still on my way up, you know what I'm saying? And Kanye was already signed, man. I wasn't even signed yet, so, we had that rap duel.
If you were to look at the freestyle, cypher that you guys had, who do you think came harder that time?
It's between me and Kanye, honestly. No disrespect to Game. Like, I got a lot of love for Game, but I think me and Kanye. Because if you sit down and write down all the things I was saying, and you write down the things Kanye, if you write down all of the stuff that all of us were saying, we all went hard. But, I think the most quotables came from either me or Kanye.
Okay, no doubt. Now, you were working with Kanye at the time also?
We weren't really working together. We were just in the studio listening to records.
Okay, so now during this time, you kind of were building up, but you were kind of going through some things at the same time. Now, you didn't know at the time that you were actually bipolar.
Right.
Now, what were some of the signs that were happening during this time?
I wasn't really paying attention to signs. I was just staying up ridiculous hours and just working on music, either by myself or with people who I was recording with, Demevolis. And I just wasn't taking care of myself.
Okay, what do you mean by not taking care of yourself?
Staying up for hours, not leaving the house, only eating pizza and drinking soda. A lot of self-negligence.
Okay. Now, I had a very, very close friend of mine. His name was Disco D.
Yeah, I know Disco D.
You know Disco D? Okay. Like, I was super close to him. We lived together in Brazil. We hung out a lot back in New York. And he actually had bipolar disorder. He ended up committing suicide.
Yeah. He made a really dope beat that I messed with, Ski Mask Way.
Right, for 50 Cent.
Yeah.
I mean, can you kind of relate to going through something like that? Because you said at one point you actually did think about suicide.
Yeah, I have been dealing with depression all my life. I went through some things that I'm gonna wait till later on in my career to talk about, but I went through a lot of trauma overall. So being medically diagnosed with something only made matters worse. It was just like great, like I actually there is something wrong with me. I'm not just fighting demons. So it was pretty intense.
Now, when you were diagnosed, they give you certain prescriptions to take to try to control it?
Yeah, but I'm gonna keep that to myself. I've said it in interviews, but I don't really feel like talking about all that right now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now, but at one point you started kind of self-medicating. You started using heroin.
See, people are getting the story wrong. I said that I was experimenting with heroin in high school.
Aha.
I at one point I just did what I wanted. So if it was smoking weed, snorting, like whatever I felt like doing, I did. It had nothing to do with depression. It was more of a rebellion.
What do you think was the low point though during that time, or do you think you were able to control it pretty well?
The low point was living in a trap house. I was in a trap house in Harlem, and just recording to other people's beats. And I made a mixtape, but I was really unhappy, and I just was doing whatever I could to, you know, keep my name out there. But now I'm starting to see that I didn't have to do all that.
So, what really got you into that trap house? I mean, you're talking about an abandoned house, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah. That like a bunch of things. Like I wanted to get away from people who said they had my best interest at heart, but I couldn't see it. I wanted to just live away from the city. Like I really didn't want to deal with anybody. And there's a difference between living in a trap house with a drug dealer and living in an abandoned house. I did live in an abandoned house, but I was saying that I recorded a mixtape at a trap house.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Okay.
So you were living in the abandoned house, and you were going to a trap house and doing music.
Right.
Okay. So, I mean, living in an abandoned house, you're essentially homeless.
Right.
I mean, what was it like to come from, having a record deal and, doing shows and so forth to suddenly you're surrounded by, were there other homeless people living with you
Nope.
in that house?
No, it was just me.
Okay. So what was that like living in in an abandoned house?
A lot of disappointment, it was just I was just very frustrated, disappointed, and I wanted to know where I went wrong at. If you look at my career, like I didn't necessarily start fires. I got presented with them and I tried to put them out, and in the middle of trying to put it out, I end up in a bigger mess. So I mean, I figured the best thing for me to do would just be to disappear.
Now, how did your mom deal with this when you started to not come home and start living somewhere else and so forth?
She was upset. My mom is the reason why I got put in a mental hospital to begin with. But she was the only one, in my opinion, that showed genuine love and concern. So I'm just thankful that she's around or was around. Well, she is around.
Yeah, definitely. So, at one point, you checked yourself into a hospital.
Right.
Okay. So, what happened then?
What did happen? I mean, from the mental hospital. Oh, I remember now. I got transferred from one hospital to another, and then a friend of the family came and got me out. That friend since passed away, but he came and got me out of the mental hospital, and he's been my best friend ever since. Like his name is Joe, and we really just bonded. He came to the hospital to visit, and he was like, "Look, I'm gonna try to get you out of here." And I was like, "Thank you," but not without us having like the deepest conversations about sound and philosophy. So we really connected, and like I said, he passed away, and that left like a serious void for me. But
Yeah.
you know, he was there for me, and
So,
mom knows him too.
so when you were in the mental hospital, You weren't allowed to just check yourself out? You couldn't just walk out the door?
Nope.
Oh. So it was kind of like prison in a way.
Yep.
I have friends that have been to these types of hospitals, and the one thing they said is, you're surrounded by people that really have extremely serious mental conditions. Like, what did you see around you during that time?
I mean, I've bumped into, because I've been to 1, 2, 3 mental hospitals. I've seen everything from like young people who were just acting out to like old people whose dementia was getting the best of them, and you know, I tried to interact. I didn't want to push people away, but I did end up finding a girlfriend. I'm not with her now, but I found romance in a mental hospital. Lo and behold, so it was just as intense as it was. I felt good and comfortable enough to converse with people, and though they may have needed some kind of help, they're genuine people. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to judge somebody because they're in a mental hospital.
That's a dope ass story. Actually, finding a girlfriend in a mental hospital. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So when you got out, did you guys continue to date, or was she still in?
Nah, she got out before me.
Okay. So did you guys continue the relationship afterwards?
Yeah, but I left New York to go to Cleveland, and that's when I got into the big arrest thing. And when I came back from New York, we broke up. When I came back from Cleveland, we broke up.
Okay. So what exactly happened in Cleveland?
I just wilded out. I don't really want to talk about it, but I did what I wanted to do, and I knew I was going to pay the consequences for it, and that's why I did it.
Okay. And you ended up in jail. I remember there were some pictures that surfaced.
Okay.
So how long after you got out of the hospital did the thing in Cleveland happen?
I got out in the middle of the summer, and I ended up going to Cleveland in December. So it was a good 6 months.
I mean, so after that happened, after 6 months, did you feel like maybe I need to go back to the hospital again, or was it a wake-up call to kind of try to get yourself together?
I just didn't care. You know what I mean? Like, I did not care. I didn't give a fuck about anything. Like, I had nothing to lose. I lost everything. It was like, what's the point? Like, even if the whole world agreed that my music was absolutely flawless, if I have no platform to put my music out, or no one knows that there's music out, it doesn't make a difference. So I felt I was getting better musically, but there was nobody around to share my music with. And the few people that were around were telling me to get back in the game. And I was like, I don't know how. I got resources, but why am I going to get back in the game just to be shut down like that again?
Well, I mean, I remember you were one of the first rappers kind of on Twitter. So you were there during the early kind of social media times. So,
Okay.
you were familiar with that already. So when you got out, did you think about putting your stuff out on Twitter or Facebook or, those types of platforms? SoundCloud, I think, was around back then.
I did whatever I could, and I got whatever audience I could get. I wasn't desperate. I just did whatever I wanted to do. I don't really have an image. Like, I just do. I don't do what I want to do nowadays. Like, it's a lot more structured because there's a lot more on the line. But I just do whatever, like, creatively, professionally, personally. Like, I did whatever I wanted to do. So, judge, like, and with me doing whatever I wanted to do, you can make whatever judgment. But I had seen a certain plateau. Like, I had already crossed over. I just didn't sell any records. So it's just like, I really don't give a fuck.
But as far as just rapping and being able to put words together and flow and say what you want to say and make it rhyme, he's definitely one of the nicest when it comes to that.
Would you say he's
It's
the king of hip hop?
Nah, I wouldn't say that because I'm in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? That's what I do. You know what I'm saying?
I said for some reason I feel like some of them motherfuckers is just renting the house to do that shit, and find out some of them was. I can't do that. You know, I ain't want to do that. I wanted to show where the fuck I was living at the time.